Well, good afternoon again, YWCA viewers. This is Series 1, Episode 16, if you can believe that already, of The Butterfly Effect. As you know, it's sponsored by our Club 1888, which is a YWCA volunteer program. This is an empowerment series where volunteer hosts, like myself, get to interview inspiring women in our community. And today we have Rebecca Harris with us. So welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you.
So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Rebecca. She was born and raised in Schodack, New York, where her parents still reside. She received her MBA from the College of St. Rose right here in Albany. She currently lives in Scotia with her cat, Mr. Sweetie. And 6 years ago, she bought Diligent Data Systems. And in the month of April, it's going to be your 6-year anniversary. So congratulations on that. And she loves every minute of being her own boss. And in her spare time, she enjoys hiking the Adirondacks and working out. Some future plans for Rebecca: she would love to be an adjunct professor at a college and teach about entrepreneurship and owning your own business. And one of her long-term goals is to learn more about the construction industry and attempt a DIY home renovation. Wow. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim, for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to chat with you. So we're going to start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and Diligent Data and what you do for fun and volunteer and whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So, yes, I've owned, like what Kim mentioned, Diligent Data for 6 years. And it's been, quite a long time. I bought the business when I was only 22, and that's fairly young for being your own boss and suddenly going from a graduate program where, every kind of your day is planned because of schoolwork. Suddenly you're jumping into your own boss and realizing to make it work, you have to maybe work 60 hours a week sometimes. So that's been challenging, and it's been a struggle trying to, do a work-home life balance. And I think now, after 6 years, I'm finally kind of getting the hang of being my own boss and still having time for myself and doing the things I love.
How do you do that? Like, what are any tips or tricks you want to share with others?
I've learned recently, I think 2020 kind of has something to do with this, when part of my business was shut down when the pandemic hit last spring, but I've really learned to embrace time blocking. So my work tends to be very morning heavy. So I'll wake up early, do what I need to do, and basically put in a couple hours of work before 10 o'clock in the morning. And then as, other people start getting up and emails start rolling in, then I can spend that time. And then, afternoon, I do certain things, and then I leave certain things for maybe about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, which is a little late, but I do tend to take a break in the afternoon. So,
well, that's good. I know you did a really great webinar on LinkedIn. So you want to tell us a little bit about that? Because your business, you kind of did a little bit of a shift. You started adding some new programs and new services for people, which, they're really great and very helpful. You want to expand on those a little bit?
Yeah, which again, honestly, is a positive that's happened because of the pandemic. I was able to spend a lot of time on business development, thinking what I wanted from the business and what I wanted to change and what was working and what wasn't. So foremost, we are still, Diligent Data, still a pre-employment screening business. So we do background checks, but I've slowly realized that public records can be used for so many different things. The webinar you mentioned was for non-for-profits on how to do self-due diligence in-house for vendors that they're hiring. So it gave you a list of publicly available resources that a non-for-profit can check when they're hiring a company to make sure that, when they're hiring a contractor or they're hiring an IT company, that they will get the services that they're paying for. We all know non-for-profits, you have a strict budget, and sometimes, you need to make sure who you're hiring for is the best person for the job.
Correct, correct. So we're going to delve a little bit more back, a little backstory. So who inspired you when you were young? I mean, you're still young. It could be my daughter for heaven's sake. But who inspired you when you were younger?
I grew up, it's just me and my sister and the two of us. And I think my parents always told us, we could do anything we wanted and there was no limitations put on us. So I never grew up thinking I couldn't own my own business or I couldn't do something. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. That was before I realized how horrible I was at math and physics. And I couldn't cut out to be an astronaut, but it was my choice. It wasn't, someone telling me I couldn't be an astronaut. It was me saying, I don't like physics that much.
Yeah. So, I know you said you went right from grad school to owning your own business. So somewhere along the lines, you probably had someone who was mentoring you, like maybe not in an official mentorship program, but there was people that would help you or you would reach out to. Who was that person? And if there was such a person or persons, and how did they assist you and help mold you and set you back on the right track?
I had a lot of people that starting from high school all the way to St. Rose getting my master's that were my teachers and my educators that, definitely maybe saw potential in me and treated me a little bit differently to try to mentor me to push me in the right direction. My uncle who I bought the business from, he mentored me and he took me under his wing. And honestly, like the whole Diligent Data wouldn't be here if he didn't mentor me. So I'm really grateful to my uncle Steve and just really my family and my educators that taught me from even a young age to, grad school that, you can be your own boss. It's hard work, but you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does, you're in a kind of like a little niche market. There's not a lot of people that do what you do, but is it very men centric, women centric? Like how does being a woman change your role and how you do things, if at all?
Yeah. So there are surprisingly, which is wonderful for me, a lot of background screening companies that are women owned. I'm currently in the process of applying for my women and minority owned business. But there are a lot of background screening companies that are women owned, and I work with some of them. So that's great. There are, I would say a lot of men, and this industry has kind of shifted where it's more of a high volume, very fast turnaround type of industry. So I have always tried to stay on top of industry trends and making sure I'm providing the best service, because I have had people that, have doubted my abilities because I'm young and because I'm a woman. Right when I bought the business, I decided to go for my HR certification.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my MBA, which should have been enough. But I felt like as a young woman in my 20s, I needed something extra to set myself apart. So I did it merely for that fact.
Okay, that's a pretty intense program. A lot of classes. Some of it, I'm sure, from your MBA kind of filtered over. But how have you found that that's helped you a little bit with the HR and the background, and just gave you a few more like certification and credentials that help you stand out?
It's kind of just helped stand out a little bit against the crowd. And then it also just helps me serve my clients better when they have HR questions that aren't necessarily relating to background screening. A lot of people have revamped their entire HR policies, work from home, the vaccination things. Right. So people just need help understanding how HR is changing now.
Right. Yeah, it's like you said, everything is changing. Another question that we typically ask people, and I mean, I don't know, you're not too far removed from it, but what advice that we ask would you give your 21-year-old self? But just thinking back, I mean, you totally well educated. You did a lot of schoolwork, jumped right into buying your own business and running with it and making it a success. Is there any advice that, forget about telling your 21-year-old self, but any woman out there, a young woman in your position who, has the opportunity to leap right into purchasing a business? What would you maybe have done differently, or what worked well for you? Because we have a lot of young women entrepreneurs out there and they could really use the advice.
Yeah, I would say go for it. I know people, there's always going to be people saying, oh, you should work for a company and get, 5-10 years under your belt. But for me, that wasn't an option. I have a very specific, I call it my why, which is why I'm a small business owner and why I'm growing this company. And, it wouldn't have fit in the plan if I had waited until now to, buy my own business at the age of 28. So, people might say you're young, you're too inexperienced, but there's so many businesses now and so many industries that need that young person's point of view because they need a shift. They need someone creative and young and who is full of ideas and to change those industries. So being young and maybe inexperienced is honestly, it can be a positive. So I would say go for it.
Right. Because the worst thing I know, not particularly at my employer, but previous employers, well, that's the way we've always done things. Yeah. Sometimes, a new fresh set of eyes really, really does add to it. So tell me, Rebecca, how do you take your coffee in the morning?
So I did Whole30, which is a program to eliminate added sugars, in June 2020 with my gym online. And ever since then, I just take my coffee and I use the hazelnut nut pods because I love hazelnut flavoring in almost anything. And I drink a lot of coffee. I make myself usually about 6 cups a day.
Oh my gosh.
And I most times I drink it completely before I leave the house.
Wow. Well, we do know that you do start earlier than most. So that's great. So tell us a little bit more. I know we talked about, the Adirondack hiking and, with your DIY project that you want to take on, but what's unique to you, or some special talent or anything else that excites you?
I love looking at things looking at other businesses and studying their business models. I always, you hear about a company on the news or you see a billboard and I'm diving in and I find everything about this company and I'm like, why are they so successful? What do they do differently? And that's one of my favorite things, to study other businesses. A fun example is my sister and I were shopping at the at-home store in Crossgate Commons one day, just, buying stuff we didn't need.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find out more about the company. So I found out that they don't outsource their design work and they have all of their designers of their merchandise in-house, which allows them to cut costs. And I was like, I found that so fascinating. And we were literally just shopping for pillows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you can never have enough throw pillows and fun, fancy ones. And Mr. Sweetie must love them.
He does. He's sleeping somewhere in my house. I'm not sure where.
So tell us a little bit more about your Adirondack hiking. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I love to hike. My family grew up for vacations. We always were camping. And I spent a lot of time hiking in the woods when I was a kid. And as an adult, it's kind of become a way for me to kind of get out of my own mind and just get some fresh air. Last year, I did a couple of good mountain hikes by myself that were, 8-10 miles. And It's just fun to, get out there and you can really be with your thoughts when you're at the top of a mountain with no one really around you, just, taking in the scenery.
Wow. Sounds perfect. Sounds like a great way to spend a day. So tell us about this DIY. What are you going to do? You're going to buy some cute little Sears catalog cape and redo it, or what do you got going on with that?
I don't know anything about DIY now, so anything I need to kind of ask someone for help with, but I would love to spend the time and actually like learning how things work and and buy something, a property maybe in 10, 15 years and do it myself completely, design it and build it. I just feel like something can be so satisfying building something yourself, and that's a long term goal. I know I'm nowhere near knowledgeable enough to do it. If I tried to renovate my own house at the moment, I would probably end up burning it to the ground accidentally. So I definitely need a lot more knowledge, but it's something that kind of is always on my forefront that I would love to do, in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's another fun project. It's a lot of fun. So you've been, 6 years in, brand new entrepreneur. What's the best advice that you've ever received? And you might want to throw in what's the worst advice you ever received?
Well, the best advice I probably have received from someone is realizing that you have to say no sometimes. There's going to be clients that you say no to. It doesn't make you a bad business owner. It just means their request, maybe it's unreasonable or not cost effective, or maybe it's just too much of a headache for you and you're going to resent and hate that job. It's okay to say no. It doesn't make you a failure. It makes you smarter. And the worst advice I've probably received is that, this, I was too young and I should just sell the business and people always told me, just go get a regular job. And I'm like, this is who I am. So selling the business and go getting like a marketing job somewhere else, I wouldn't be happy because this is who I am. I'm a small business owner. I'm an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. And learning to say no, that is huge, 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 huge. So congrats and kudos on that because it's a huge deal. It really is. So yeah, that's some really great advice that you got. Is there anything else that you want us to know, or you want to talk about the business, or any of your volunteer gigs or whatever? We got a few minutes, so tell us
Yeah.
tell us more.
I think that's something that I've always liked being my own business owner is you get to make your own schedule a little bit. Even though I might work 60 hours a week, I can kind of, sometimes in the middle of the day, if I don't have any emails, I could, leave. And, I've always worked from home even before COVID. So, doing laundry in the middle of the day has always been, something I can do. But it's just about like when you own your own business, it's that there's struggles, if financially, it can, relationships can kind of feel the burden of being a small business owner, but it's just about if it works for you and it makes you happy, just moving forward as much as you can. I try to read a lot of books on business ownership, and I think that has helped me also, as well as just working with other business owners and other business professionals. So you can always talk to someone when you're having issues. Developing that type of network of women you can trust. There's nothing else like that.
Is there a favorite book that you've read that you want to let us all know about, or is there anything you're reading currently that's
The E-Myth is a great book, kind of for businesses or business people that are starting out, that maybe they realize their business isn't working and they need to make some tweaks. There's also Buy Then Build, which is people who are interested in possibly buying a existing business and then putting their fun, creative spark on it to make it even better.
Oh, that's great. Those are really great. So we're probably going to wrap up here soon. Is there anything else you want to tell us about?
I'm just hoping that this video, someone will watch it and be interested. And, even if they just get a book from the library or just do some research, that would make me feel amazing. The world needs more small business owners, and it needs more women that are small business owners.
There is. So tell us again your business and maybe your website or an email address, and the why. I'll put it in the chat in case there's any, they don't even need to be young women. They could be, broad like me wanting to start their own business. Like, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah. So my company is Diligent Data Services, and the website is diligentdata.com. And my phone number is right on that website. And, if someone is interested in talking to me about owning your own business or possibly starting or buying it, or even like HR and public records, call me. I live right in Scotia, and I'm, always interested in learning about other people who, are around the capital region that want to, do more.
Yep. And don't forget too that you really did that nonprofit webinar was excellent. So maybe you could repeat that at some point too. That was great.
I have plans to redo that webinar. I'm thinking sometime in July.
All right. So everybody should find you on LinkedIn and become your friend on there. Then they'll know about it, because that was, pretty awesome and a great way to put your name out there with a lot of credibility. So with that is the end of episode 16. Rebecca, this was amazing. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
And we will see you, I think, again on Thursday. We're going to keep the butterfly effect up through the end of April, and then we're going to start again in the fall. So we appreciate you watching. Thanks.